Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Erik Sandoval, sitting in for the vacationing Julie Broughton, and you are watching Take Six with Click Orlando and New 6 Plus. This is a time when we like to kick back, mellow things out just a little bit, talk a little bit about the stories that we may be covering today and just things happening in our community. And we're so glad you're spending at least a couple of minutes with us this afternoon. Over the last few days, the mad dash to get to and from grandma's house and wherever you're going for the holidays has just really kicked it up a notch. And sadly, we have had two really horrific crashes over the last 2 days, both of which were involving wrong way driving. We want to bring in News 6 reporter Erik von Ancken right now. And, Erik, you have really been covering these wrong way drivers, wrong way crashes, and the solutions behind a lot of this, and all of us in the newsroom were asking, well, wait a minute, didn't they solve this problem? Didn't they put up signs that say, no, you're going the wrong way, and the flashing lights? What can you tell us about that?
Hey, Erik, and hey, everybody else. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to you. You know, I had the same reaction, Erik, when I saw that crash. That this is a largely solvable problem, yet it hasn't been entirely solved. So we have covered extensively the installation of what's called this wrong way vehicle detection
Mm-hmm.
system, where it's not just the signs that say do not enter or wrong way, as we've explained and demonstrated. So they have several signs, and there are lighted edges to these signs, and they also have bright LED lights above the signs
Yeah.
that flash incessantly if you're getting on the wrong way. That's one part of the system. So it's not just a sign; it's really a visual alert that should catch your attention if you're impaired, if you're falling asleep, or whatever else. The second thing that happens is this system sends some information to, I believe it's FHP headquarters. I also want to say FDOT has an office,
Yeah.
to where they can get this and they can send this out immediately. They can broadcast it on those overhead signs that you
I
see.
saw one of those last
So you
week. Yeah.
and it said, did it say wrong way driver on it?
It said, caution, wrong way driver alerted. Please beware.
Wow.
It was the first time I ever saw that, and I meant to text you, but I was driving at the time. So, yeah, it was the first time I ever saw that.
Yeah, it got you. It made you brace or maybe get off the
Absolutely.
highway.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Yeah.
you just clutch the steering wheel and you're looking both ways, hoping it doesn't come towards you.
And that's part of why this effective, because for the time, since they put the system into effect, it now the people who are driving, um, some warning, right? Because otherwise you have no idea. You're driving along on that highway, and maybe you got your kids in the car, maybe you listen to the radio, and you think that everything's just going to be fine. When
Hmm.
out of nowhere, a car comes straight at you, and you have, I mean, a split second to try and make a decision and avoid this, right? The third component is because law enforcement is notified so quickly, they can get a trooper, typically it's FHP, to the place on the highway, where this person entered within seconds,
Hmm.
instead of waiting for somebody to call it in and say, oh, the driver's going, wait, no, he just went past another exit. I'm trying to keep up with him.
Yeah.
It's now pinpointed, and it should be almost instantaneous. The thing is, it's in place. The system, Erik, is in place at a lot of entrances,
Right.
at a lot of highways across Central Florida, but not that one where we think this lady, according to FHP, got on the wrong way at I-4 in Maitland. It's not installed there. It's installed in the express lanes, which of course, are the pay lanes in I-4. But from what everything FHP is saying, she got on the general use I-4 lanes going the wrong way at Maitland, which does not have this system in place, which of course made me ask, why not? We know that FDOT and we know, that the Expressway Authority have been working actively to try and install this system at more locations, more entrance ramps and exit ramps. except they haven't gotten to all of them. And surely enough, this was a situation, from what it appears at this point, from the information that we have,
Uh huh.
where this might have been able to have been prevented if this system were in place at that particular exit.
Well, and we know all of this takes time. You get the plan in place to put these alerts up at the entrance ramps and things like that. It takes time, it takes money. But in the meantime, we have crashes like this. And I think it's just a huge lesson for everybody as they're hurrying to get wherever they're going, whether it's the mall, whether it's to a loved one's house this holiday season. Pay attention.
Absolutely right, Eric. It does. And you know what? Every time we do this story and we talk to FHP about it, they say the same thing. Yes, these systems are great. And by the way, statistically, the Expressway Authority, so they operate the 417 or parts of the 417, the
Hmm.
408, parts of the 429, the Beach Line. Every every time we talk to FHP about it, um, yes, they agree on the effectiveness, which I want to say is around 80 plus percent.
Wow.
So what that means is every time someone who enters a an off ramp going the wrong way, getting on, and the system engages, 80 plus percent of the time, that person turns around without causing a
That's just
crash.
incredible.
So FHP, it is, I totally. FHP agrees that the system works really well, but they, like you said, ultimately it's up to human beings. It's up to people not getting on the wrong way, not drinking and driving, not being half
Yep.
asleep. And the way this all started, I want to say in early 2000, the 2010s, 2013 ish,
Hmm.
there was a driver who went the wrong way, who was from, if I recall this correctly, who was suicidal and killed someone.
Wow.
And that family of the victim, um, they got in front of the Expressway Authority and they got this going. So, you
Wow.
talk about this takes
What a
time to
legacy.
install. It certainly takes time to install.
Yeah.
But what we found time and time again is it comes down to priorities. It comes down to money,
Yeah.
right? It comes down to
Absolutely.
someone deciding to do something about it sooner than later. But sure, in the meantime, right, it's up to us.
Got to take
I shouldn't say in the
responsibility.
meantime, it's always up to us.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. It's always up to us.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. At risk of just saying an awful pun, let's shift gears a little bit, and let's talk about something a little bit more happy. You've just been kicking butt with this, getting results at home. I didn't know you were such a handyman, my friend.
I appreciate that, Eric. And then come, by the way, folks, if you don't know Erik Sandoval, he is a man of many talents. He's quite accomplished. That is really nice, and I appreciate that. And
No, you're
that does
doing
mean a lot
great job.
coming from
And a lot of people are going to be getting, things to install this holiday season. What have you installed recently that you can possibly give some tips to for us?
It's funny you say that, Eric. So, one of the future projects we're working on is a Ring doorbell because we know that a lot of people are getting that
I bet a
for
lot of people will
Christmas.
be getting that. Yep.
We are going through the steps, really just to show that this shouldn't be daunting. So, you've probably seen a bunch of these here and there. Um, it is my own personal opinion and my humble opinion that they get a little bit better each time.
Yeah.
Honestly, only because we're learning, right? So, I'm a news guy,
Hmm.
and you're a news guy,
Yeah.
and I grew up. I mean, I've spent 25 years doing news, and so at the same time, what I would do off camera, as you mentioned, I mean, I renovate houses. I have rental houses. I'm kind of the property manager, my own property manager for my own rental houses. The handyman, certainly,
Okay.
certainly my wife's handyman. I
Uh
can tell you that.
huh.
Um, so, I've always done this, and what we decided, as I've explained at News Six, is to try and combine these two and bring useful information to people who want to do it themselves, but either don't know how or are just a little bit intimidated. And so, what we're trying to do with these projects is tackle things that might seem a little bit intimidating, like getting a Ring doorbell and figuring out how to put it up on your wall and connecting it with your cell phone. That's really not the hard part. The mounting part scares people a little bit, and showing folks, look, you can do this too. It really ain't that hard if you're willing to just try it. And as I, when Julie and I talked about this the last time, my motto here is, what's the most you can do? So it doesn't go well, or I mean, are you going to break it anymore? And that you're going to call someone anyway. So why not
Exactly.
give it a shot yourself, right?
Exactly. That's a great lesson, and actually one that I've learned the hard way myself. Just recently with a new thermostat, and one of those smart thermostats, I had to have somebody come out and just put the thing on the wall. You're right. I could attach it to my cell phone and the network and everything like that. I just couldn't get the darn thing on the wall. So I had to have somebody come in and do that.
Was it a matter, Eric, of putting the right wires in the right what do they call
The
this
configuration, yeah.
connection?
Yeah, it wasn't even that. It was Eric. It was literally attaching the thing to the wall, the most basic thing in the world, and I can do the computer stuff. I just can't attach it to the wall. That is a whole other story, though.
So you could have called me.
I know I could have.
I
I
told
should have. You're right. You're absolutely right.
I, it's again funny you say this. So I just installed one about a month or two ago, and I put a few pictures on my Facebook page. I had the hardest time with the wiring, so I followed the directions. And if you buy one of those, and by the way, I highly recommend it. If you're looking for a present for somebody for the holidays, I definitely suggest. Nest makes one. I think Google Nest make the same one. But there are all kinds of brands of these Wi-Fi enabled thermostats
That's what I got.
where
Yep. Perfect.
and it'll save you a ton of money. I totally suggest it because it's smart. Some of these they kind of learn your
Right.
habits.
Yeah.
If nobody's home, it'll raise the temperature a little bit because they
Yep.
have motion sensors in. It really is great technology. But anyway, so I was installing one, and I followed the diagram to put the wires in. So that's a little bit tricky too, because
Hmm.
you could have 4 or 5 or 6 wires, but they're all color coded. So what you do is you look at your old thermostat. As long as you know how your old thermostat is hooked up, which you should be able to, because you'll pull that panel off and you'll see the wires there. When you hook up the new one, um, it wasn't turning on the cold. It wasn't the fan was turning on, but the compressor, the AC
Ah,
compressor,
got it. Yeah.
wasn't blowing cold air. So get this, I googled it. I watched a few YouTube videos. It explained what the problem was and how to bypass it. And it took 45 minutes or so until I finally got to the right solution. But I was able to get results at home for myself just by doing a little research.
And
Again,
those
something that
very
I
videos
encourage.
are what you're doing and helping other people.
Look, I appreciate that, Eric. But to be fair, we learn from other people all the time. I learned from my dad. I learned from my
Yep.
grandfather. I learned from the internet all the time. And there is something to be said for knowing the source that you're getting it from, just like news, of course. Making sure it's credible, making sure that you don't fry yourself or
Exactly.
flood your house. But so what we try and do is we try and take good information, we vet it, of course, apply it to the knowledge that we have already, and if it's good and we can put it into a project and show folks how to do it, that's what the purpose of these are. So, when I was talking earlier about it, I think they're getting better each time. They're getting more useful, is what I'm
Good.
trying to say.
Good. Good. Good.
We're taking projects that I think people can learn from and giving them real world simple solutions to where they can do this on their own homes.
Fantastic. And the best place to find them, clickorlando.com and YouTube, I'm assuming?
There you go. And I'm going to make another shameless plug. If you have a project in your house that you would like us to tackle, as I say at the end of every segment, just send me an email. So the email's also on clickorlando.com if you don't remember it, but it's pretty simple. Getting results at home at wkmg.com. And then we look at it, send us some pictures at the same time, tell us what it is. And if it's something that we could tackle, something that ACE sells, because ACE is our partner in all of this,
Hmm.
or at least we think that we could try it and people can learn from it, we'll give it a shot.
Fantastic. Eric, happy holidays, my friend, if I don't see you before the holidays hit. And drive safely,
Thank you.
please.
Thank you, Eric. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to you and everybody at home. Appreciate you guys. We'll talk to you next year.
Back at you, my friend. See you later. All right, before we go, everybody's asking what is the weather going to be like this weekend for the Christmas holiday? Well, let's take a look at the 7-day forecast. Meteorologist Jonathan Kagas was telling us earlier that we had a little system coming through this weekend. Not going to be that bad, but we're still going to get a little rain maybe later in the day on Christmas Day. That is your 5-day forecast right now. It's in the 70s. Not going to snow, but it's a great Florida Christmas forecast if you ask me. Looks pretty good. That about does it for Take 6 on this Wednesday afternoon. We're so glad you spent some time with us. I'm Erik Sandoval sitting in for Julie Broughton. Our next newscast is coming up at 4 o'clock on News 6, and we break news all the time on clickorlando.com. We'll see you later.